gonna do a new comparison video, and in this video I'll be comparing Metallica's And Justice for All. Here behind the CD we have the 1988 Vertigo Swirl pressing here. Then this is more than likely the original US mastering that came out back then. In front here is the 2018 Black & Recordings remaster. A little bit of backstory on this album. I first started hearing it on the probably the hit songs on excuse me, the radio. And the 1995 CD mastering was the one that I just heard for years pretty much up until this one came out. I had gotten into collecting vinyl and purchased this guy last year simply because I was tired of hearing the same old mastering, and I had learned that there were some flaws with the 1995 Elektra CD remaster, which I still have to this day. It's really not a bad listen if you have a good little boombox or sound system or headphones. It really doesn't sound bad. I mean, there's some things I've noticed in there, but I'm not comparing that. So we'll just start off with this guy here. With the 2018 CD remaster, you get obviously better packaging here, and I've gone through that. Hopefully this guy's not bent as he's set normally. No, that's fine. Anyways, just noticing some things here. Now let's just talk about the sound, because that's really why we're here, and that's my main focus in music. Has always been the sound quality, one mastering over the other. I'll notice these subtle differences of maybe a crash cymbal coming through better on a certain mastering, or the drums may sound better, or the guitars may sound a little limp or light, not have that crunch and bite and drive that another mastering might have. So with this mastering, you get a little more punch. The sound is compressed, and that is noticeable. I've listened to this in the highest quality MP3 format in my car, and I've noticed that this does have a little more punch in the kick drum, and the guitars do sound a little more focused and up front. They do have a little more crunch and bite and presence in this mastering. Now James's vocals, I guess they sound slightly better. It's kind of hard to tell with vocals. I mean, there's no added effects or echo or delay on the vocals or anything like that. So it's not a vast change over the sound. Now if they were to go in and remix this, yes, it would drastically change the sound, and I think the fans would not like that, because we have all come to love this mastering. But with this version, you just get the original album tracks, and I've already reviewed this whole thing here when shortly after I bought it, in fact. And this is one of my favorite Metallica albums, like one of the top 5. The first 5 were the greatest. And I will be buying, more than likely will be buying the Metallica Black Album Super Deluxe box set once I figure out the track listing and what's going to be on the DVDs, then I'll decide. But yeah, I mean, and I did buy the cassette version of this guy as well. It's just the original album on that. The remaster, of course. I thought about buying an original cassette, but those are so old that they're gonna show their age. So decided not to do that. Now, so we'll just say this now. This guy's gonna have a more modern sound to him. Just know that they still retain that classic sound that is associated with this album. So don't think that it's drastically the album has been remixed or anything. It's just a simple remaster, slight tweaking of the sound. That's it. So yeah, I'd have to say this guy, if you're looking for original sound, go with him. Comparing the two, modern sound, more natural, original sound that is more indicative of what came out in that era in the late 80s. You have, that guitar solos, and it's this dry sound. It's not overly produced, so it does kind of stand on its own on its own when compared to what was out at that time. But yeah, I mean, with this version of the album, this mastering, you're gonna get a more, I would say, yeah, natural sound. It's gonna sound like what the band wanted you to hear at that particular time in their career. And it's interesting how those things change, minds change, and of course they want the, the royalties, the money that comes with it. But yeah, let's see, packaging is obviously different here. We're not really gonna go too much into that. I mean, you still get that same Ed Repka image with the cartoon of the band with the gaffle or judge's stick. I forget what you call it. Right there in the middle of between all four of them, but or in front of them rather. And that does come in black and white and in color for in some of these releases. Excuse me. So this has, like I said, a more natural sound. It's not more in your face like the 2018 remaster is. That is a little more in your face, and it works for this album. Some albums you have to kind of back off and let the music breathe a little. Let's see here. I don't know. Here, I'm gonna hold the other version here in a second. But yeah, if you're looking for original sound here, it does sound great, especially on a good stereo setup that's in a living room. Something with big speakers, good sound receiver, good turntable. Yeah, you're gonna be amazed. It's just great. Everything sounds balanced on this mastering, except for the drums. Of course, a lot of people say they're too loud. I would kind of have to agree with that statement, but you can't go wrong with this. I would throw the 1995 CD remaster into this, but all I can say about that, I'm not going to really include it in this, is that the sound, the volume level on that mastering had been jacked up a little bit. Not so much to the point of any clipping. Some people state otherwise, but I don't know about that. So yeah, I mean, it's really a toss-up between these two. I'd have to say I would prefer this mastering, and I almost went as far as to buy a 1988 Vertigo CD edition of this album, but I said, 3 is enough. I don't need 4 versions of nearly every major album that I own, the heavy hitters in each genre. So there you go. So I would say this is more for maybe a new fan of Metallica, and even the old ones like myself, the long-time listeners. So, yeah, there you go. And Justice for All comparison video.